La Venus del Café, Javier Maninino, 1988. We can see a naked woman posing for a painter in the center of this impressive painting. Behind, a woman is offering her a cup of coffee while she is looking at a picture on the wall of another woman. It's funny because they all look like the same woman. In the background, some curious men look through the window. In my opinion, this painting is wonderful.
The Rite of Farewell, 1989, oil on canvas by the author Felipe Morales. Artwork belonging to the exhibition of the Ralli Museum in Marbella, entitled Contemporary Art in Oaxaca, Vanguard, Myth and Tradition, that contains artistic manifestations of the state of Oaxaca in southwestern Mexico between 1960 and 1990. The title of this exhibition indicates the three stylistic lines of Oaxaca's art, and this work, The Rite of Farewell, is framed in the line of traditions and customs. It is a work that catches the eye for its striking colors and that expresses the love for the roots, showing the traditions or customs through the author's fantasy, related to magic realism. Magic realism is an artistic movement of the mid-20th century that is characterized by the interest of showing the unreal or strange as something everyday and common. In the painting, the author is the narrator, presenting an extraordinary event as something normal. Magic realism is also characterized by the presence of the sensory as part of the perception of reality, by the presence of the landscape reinforcing the emotions of the characters, and by the allusion to social cultural references of the most popular areas. I have chosen this painting because I love everything ethnic and tribal, as well as the tradition of the different cultures, and I also love the color combination used.
This painting is called The Saleswoman. Its author is Justina Fuentes, a woman born in Oaxaca in 1955. She's an expert in visual arts, although most of her paintings and sculptures are not well known. She likes to represent woman and nature in her paintings, but in a different way. One of the most characteristic things about her is her passion about drawing mermaids. That is because she considers that the mermaid is the perfect representation of the beauty and intelligence of woman. That is what this picture shows. Finally, the technique used here is etching and equating. This picture was painted in 1989 and the measure of the canvas is 61.6 and 66 centimeters. The colors that predominate are green, blue, pink, and yellow. By the way, the bottom is dark.
This painting is called Daniel's Duchess. It was painted by Alicia Carletti in 1996. She was an Argentine painter who was born on June 1946 and died on July 2017. She was an author focused on magical realism and she illustrated Alice in Wonderland. In this painting, you can see the Duchess, an antagonist of the Queen of Hearts, and she's holding a baby who's crying. Two girls, one of them could be Alice, a cook, and a brown cat too. They're dressed in period costumes. Also, it's a colorful picture with considerable orchids at the bottom. Despite the picture looks like a colorful and cheerful painting, it reflects sadness, anger, and bitter people because of their facial expression. To finish, this picture is an oil on canvas and its size 130 by 150 centimeters.
The Venus of the Coffee, 1988 oil on canvas by Maximino Javier from Osaka, Mexico. The painting shows the interior of a room, maybe in a house in Latin America many years ago. At the bottom of the foreground, in the center, there is a pair of red high heels, and on the right, there is a chair with a flower vase on it. In the foreground there is also a bed with a naked woman on it, posing for the painter. Behind the bed, in the middle of the painting, there is a woman and the painter standing. The woman is on the left. She seems is looking at a picture on the wall. She might be a maid because she's carrying a tray with a coffee pot and 2 cups. On the right of the painting is the painter, who is painting the woman on the bed. The painter reminds me Velázquez in Las Meninas. In the background there is a window where 3 men are looking at what is happening inside the room. This painting is a great example of contemporary Oaxacano art exhibited at the Museum Ralli in Marbella.
Venus Alated the Roses. It is a brown sculpture with loose wax casting by the surrealistic master Salvador Dalí, realized in 1980-81. The artwork represents a modern and surrealistic Venus. The feminine figure doesn't have face, but is made by roses, creating an alienated effect, typical of surrealism. The body of the goddess seems to distract her. It is not the same Venus of the classic tradition. She is forced to support herself on a crutch. This is one of the most recurrent objects in Dalí's production, and it symbolizes the duality between the harness, the body, and the softness, the unconscious.
The Ralli Museum in Marbella hosts a collection of sculptures from the European artistic vanguards of the 20th century. Among them, visitors can enjoy some sculptures of Salvador Dalí. The space elephant and the cosmic rhino are a couple of samples from the Spanish surrealist artist. Certainly, the animals proliferate in the work of Dalí, such as the rhinoceros and the elephants. For the artist, the horns of these animals have a meaning of divine geometry because they grow in a logarithmic spiral. Mention apart is for the elephant sculptures, which are inspired by Gian Lorenzo Bernini's one located in Rome of an elephant carrying an ancient obelisk. Dalí takes this precedent from the master of the Baroque and reinterprets the image. The space elephant in the Ralli Museum is one of the versions made by the artist in 1980, the bigger of which is the colossal namesake of more than 7 meters height and 4 tons weight. The figure is eye-catching by the fragility of its extremely disproportionate long legs, used like supporting of a pyramid. Although it seems so fragile, the figure holds the weight of a heavy obelisk. Similarly, the rhino sculpture repeats this visual scheme, but the obelisk is formed here by a column of consecutive spheres. Personally, it reminds me the images of luxury and magnificence of the Indian Maharajas, ridden in colossal elephants, exotic and faraway inspiration coming from the Asiatic tales.
Sculptural Objects, lithography by Henry Moore. This lithography belongs to European Art 20th Century Artistic Vanguards Permanent Collection. Moore is well known for his monumental abstract sculptures. By contemplating this piece of art, it feels like being inside what it could be Moore's studio, surrounded by different abstract forms where one is transported to his universe. In this lithography, his inner creativity could be admired. The artist must have pretended to share with the public the objects that his imagination could produce and in some way seems to be alive.
Offered to Zeus, Giorgio de Chirico. The author shows us a classic scene from Greek mythology. The painting shows a scene in which a sculptor presents a child to Zeus in sacrifice. Zeus is represented Mount Olympus, along which Athene, Pallas, Poseidon, and other gods. The painting is clearly a sketch by the author, not having a very refined technique through lick lines and the simple use of charcoal. We found it interesting because of the mythology theme. Possibly the definite work has to be very interesting due to the simplicity of the exhibition, when current works are usually overloaded with rare elements and loaded with symbolic elements.
Chair with Mirror by Mario Aguirre Roa. This is an oversized bronze sculpture made in 1935 of an indigenous lady sitting in a chair looking at herself in the mirror. The sculpture, despite being exaggerated in the size of the body, typical of the characteristic of this sculpture, is fairly sensual and charming. This lady looks at herself in a little mirror, as all women do, in order to check she's looking pretty.